Breaking news this morning. I wanted to get to some other storylines, quarterback ones. I have to, Tua benched 7th rounder, I believe, 6th rounder, 7th, Quinn Ewers out of Texas. When you saw that, what did you think?
Well, I mean, not surprising. I think, Mike McDaniel's comments after the game, sort of led you to speculate that they were going to go in this direction. I think given, where they're at, given the changes they've had, at the GM position, that they're going to have a search there. I think you're in the fact finding and data finding stage of the season of, what makes sense for us moving forward. And, frankly, I think Mike was right. I think Tua's play just hasn't been good enough and not to the standard that they've talked about and that they've set for themselves. So, this is a great opportunity for Quinn Ewers, a guy that, I think a lot of people were high on at certain times throughout college. I think the opportunity for him to sit and watch the last, the last handful of weeks and leading up into this point, we'll see what his level of preparation has been and what he can do out on the field. So I think it's the right move. I think you got to find out what you have in him. I think 3 games is it's a small sample size, but it's a good sample size, and I'm excited to watch him play.
Quinn played for Sark like you did, a little connection there, giving him some love. It's very understandable what Mike McDaniel did, and I'm looking at the numbers here. Cutting Tua could cost $99 million. That would be the largest dead cap hit in NFL history if they did that before June 1st. I know you just got this news, but do you think we see Tua as an NFL starter somewhere in 2026?
I do. I think there's a real possibility he's somewhere, whether that's in Miami, whether it's somewhere else. I think there's a handful of teams that are in position where they'd like, some improved quarterback play. And I think Tua probably has some good football still in front of him. Why it didn't work out this season and the last couple of seasons, I'm not sure. But I do think there's a real chance that he's starting somewhere, whether that's in Miami or whether it's with a different organization sometime next season.
I have to ask you about Matthew Stafford, your friend, the
Yes.
fave to win MVP. I know we've got like Drake and Josh, and Josh looks pretty good. From an MVP to a guy who's never won an MVP, can you make the case for Matthew Stafford this year?
I think he's made the case for himself pretty well. Everything he does, you talk about, the number of touchdown passes, the limited turnovers, the explosive plays, the wins, the record. I just think he's been outstanding the entire year, and I think he's going to win it. I think he deserves it. I think there's a lot of guys who are in that question. I think, you talk about the season Drake May's had. It's been really, really impressive. And even Josh Allen, you talk about Josh Allen coming back into this race late in the season and what he's done. I think that's real. But when you take into account from start to finish of the regular season, we'll see what happens in the next 3 weeks. But up until this point, I think Matthew Stafford has been, head and shoulders above everyone else. It's maybe the best year of his entire career.
Which isn't that insane, though? Like,
Yeah.
What is so impressed? Like, what impresses you most about? He's making you look bad. You're over here like I'm over here last week questioning you going back out on the field. You're saying no, I'm good. Like Stafford's doing it. You get out there and do it. What is so impressive about this year being this good?
Well, I think, number one, it was the question marks coming into the season.
Yeah.
Was he going to be healthy enough and able to go for the long haul? So, his availability throughout the season, his health, that's been really impressive. I think it's, we all talk about his arm, and his arm is incredible. He can make every throw, can change arm angles, touch, driven, however you want to throw it, he can do it. I think it's his sneaky mobility, at this age. That is the most impressive to me because he still throws it really, really well on the run. It's a big part of what they do offensively, of what makes it go, right, is his ability to get on those keepers or the bootlegs and just get far enough to the edge and be able to find it or extend a play and hit a crosser or really move the pocket and take their shots down the field. So I think his mobility is probably the thing that I look at, at 37 for him, and I'm like, man, it's still really impressive.
It's so crazy. You know what else is impressive? Matthew's playing amazing. Trevor Lawrence is like the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now. And I would love to know from your perspective, like him and Liam Cohen, at what point, like I'm looking at the numbers. Career day, of course, against New York. He had 6 total touchdowns. But what is it about the offense, or what are you seeing as the quarterback that you are? What finally clicked, or like what is going on right now?
Well, I think there's been a consistency in their scheme throughout the year. I mean, you see this play right here, the little wrinkle where they run the rail route to the back out of the backfield. That's kind of like a curveball, but there's been a consistency, and this play right here is just ridiculous. The scramble and
But is
throw
that
down
like
the field.
Liam? Is it Trevor? Like, why is it happening like this?
Listen, I think the difference is Trevor's always made some big plays. He's always been able to move and use his athleticism. He has a big, strong arm and can push it down the field. The reason I think he's playing better is because he's doing the boring things well, right? He's doing the little things well, like checking the football down and not putting the ball in harm's way, hitting those short and intermediate passes in rhythm. That's where I think he's made the biggest jump. And so the big plays, I think he's always had a knack for making those. It's just the inconsistency throughout the career that has been the issue. And now we're seeing him, he's making his free throws, he's making his layups, he's doing the little things right over and over. And that's why I think he's playing better. It's not the big plays. It's really, like I've often said, good quarterback plays making the boring sexy. And that's what good quarterbacks do. And I think he's doing that right now.
These little changes are yielding huge results. I'm looking 10 touchdowns, no picks over the last 3, 14 touchdowns, 11 picks in his first 11 games. I just think that's bananas. I guess, like, keep your head down. What's the lesson there? Keep your head down, keep working. Like, that's...
I give him credit because I think there's been arrows flying at him from outside the building for a long time. And that's not easy. And you talk about what's the lesson. I think the lesson is, keep your head down and keep plugging away, which I give him credit on doing because that's hard. I also think it's the continuity that Jacksonville looks like they're trying to build, right? It looks like you could have offensive head coach and Trevor Lawrence there and working together, and you can see that starting to get better, and it makes you think what could these guys be in a year or two from now. So I think that continuity along with the stick-to-itness of Trevor has been really beneficial for him.
He's got a big one against the Broncos. Last one because I was looking at your numbers because I really thought it was like just as a fan, I'm like, it's clearly like Liam and Trevor finally getting on the same page. And then I looked at, like, you and Shanahan, your MVP year. Like, you weren't just an MVP. You were, like, had one of the best seasons of all time. Like, it was so freaking fun week in, week out to watch. But I, don't remember the year before that, your first year with Kyle. And it wasn't nearly as great. So what the F happened? Like, what? I don't want to bring up that, 2015... 8-8, not great. What happened there? Was it these little things you just worked, or was it like?
Yeah, well, I think it's a number of things. I think, I do think it is putting in that work and time together and understanding, the system and what's being asked of you. I think the opposite works too. It's a coach who's been there now for a full year and understands the players that he has and the best way to use them. I thought we ran the ball, like, this is boring, but we ran the ball much better in 2016 than we did in 15. And
that was it.
In that system, right, the run sets up a lot of, how you create explosive plays in the passing game. And so that was it. I think, some of it is personnel changes of different people coming into the building. I think, we had guys like Taylor Gabriel come in 16, had such like an amazing year. Turbo Taylor was really good for us. Muhammad Sanu, so there's different guys that come in too. So it was a different team.
Sanu motivating you because he's, he wants to be the quarterback of the team. So he's like, you better have your stuff together, Matt.
Let's talk about Muhammad. He has one of the strongest football arms I've ever seen in my life.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he was the best. Awesome teammate, unbelievable wide receiver, but I still think he's got the best passer rating in the history of the league. I think that's, I think maybe a minimum of 10 passes, but he was a hell of a quarterback.